Hey guys, welcome to another time lapse. This time I'm going to be drawing Man-Thing from scratch. No roughs, no prelims, no light boxing. Uh, I'm going to Jackie Chan this one, kind of like I did with Blade. No, Blade had a prelim too, but Man-Thing is one of my low-key favorite characters, and I don't know what it was about him that made me really like the character a lot. But before I really get into this, just to let you know, please definitely like, subscribe, comment on this video and any of my videos actually, and be sure to check out the links in the description below for the different shops, my Etsy, my eBay, and my Teespring. Um, so one of the funny things was, it's like I show you I show you the brush pens, and it was actually something that I had thought about doing uh, while I was thinking about doing this project, was doing the pencils, blue line pencils like I did, and then coming in and doing the colors and then throwing the inks on top of it, just because I wanted to try something a little bit different. I've seen some people doing sketch cards where they'll do the pencils and then they will throw down color, usually like a watercolor, and then drop their lines on top of it. And I thought it might be kind of an interesting take to do with the tools that I have. And I think I used my microns a very little bit with his eyes to shape up the highlights in his eyes, which I then go over with the gel pens. But I laid everything out ahead of time, had all my markers ready to go, and I'm really happy with how this ended up turning out. So again, Man-Thing is one of my favorite characters, in kind of like a weird way, a haphazard way. Him and Howard the Duck are definitely up there in my tops. Just obscure characters who don't have a ton of reference. I mean, I think Howard the Duck has had like what, three series, maybe three, four series. One that was long form, ongoing kind of thing. Man-Thing has always been more of a peripheral character. Yeah, he had that R.L. Stine run, but the initial Fear or Adventure into Fear book and story going into it that realmed into or developed into the Man-Thing book. Just huge fan of it. I had a couple of the issues. I sold them all off, but I did pick up the Essentials Man-Thing collection, both volumes 1 and volumes 2. And if you have not picked those up, I highly recommend them. If nothing else, for the artwork. Steve Gerber writes an amazing Man-Thing. I don't think there's a better writer for Man-Thing. Claremont wrote like volume 2, and it's okay, but he gets real meta with it, and he puts himself and some other people that he knows into the book and the story, which kind of takes me out of it a lot. But Mike Plug, his lines and his heavy blacks in this horror piece, it's a masterpiece, a masterclass. And actually, his work is one of, if not the first Kickstarter that I ended up backing. There was a Mike Plug story that had Simon Bisley doing paints over it, so that you could get the book just inked with Mike Plug's inks, or you could get it painted over. And I actually did both. I got both books, and I didn't understand how like stretch goals worked or anything like that. So when it arrived, it had like all these extras with it, stickers and some smaller like an art of book, and it had like a pack of trading cards and stuff like that, which really threw me for a loop. Like, I almost messaged the campaign to tell them, hey, you sent me all this extra stuff. And of course, that was, I don't know, like 2017 or something like that, 2016. Didn't understand at all how stretch goals worked. And it wasn't until the last couple of campaigns that I did where I started doing stretch goals the right way. Which, had I understood it, like, maybe could have made more money for like the Bubba Patrol and things like that. But so, like, I've thrown down all my colors, of course, and now it's just question of putting black in the right spots and really just going all for it with respect to this piece. And I felt like Man Thing was a safe bet to go in doing it blindly without having a rough, without having any prelims ready to go. Because I thought, you really can't go wrong with throwing as much black as possible at this character because of the type of character he is. I initially had a different visual in mind for this. It was going to be more of like a three-quarter body, him walking through or trudging through the swamps in kind of a three-quarter body turn looking back. And my friend Demi, who saw it today while I'm recording this, he was just like, oh, kind of like the Bigfoot. And I hadn't even thought about that. And yeah, it was probably in the back of my mind that the Patterson, I think is the Patterson film from like the late 60s where they filmed Bigfoot walking through like the California woodlands. But yeah, that was probably what I had in mind doing it, except in reverse, facing in the direction that he's going in right now. But you're going to see I use two different Pentel brush pens. I use the medium, it's the medium point brush for this, and just getting a little more detail. And years and years and years ago, or even just a year ago, I probably would have thrown like a micron 8 on all the spots that I'm going over so that I wouldn't end up, damaging or going over too much into the other colors and stuff like that. But like I said, with Man Thing, you can't really go wrong with the colorization as to what you're doing. You can just kind of go overboard. And there's been a few pieces and a few projects, and my current horror project, Welcome to Pleasant Falls, is going to really fall into this category of you're not going to be able to put too much black into the pages because it's a predominantly black and white book with splashes of watercolor in it. And it's going to have like black watercolor and red watercolor, crimson watercolor, for the blood and the effects and stuff. But you're going to get some highlights of color into the piece. And maybe one of these days I'll do a time lapse of just inking one of the pages just to show you what it looks like. And these brush pens from Pentel are amazing with respect to their water resistance and not smudging or smearing or bleeding a whole lot. If at all, it's a great pen source to use. So if you're thinking of doing something more traditional and you want to like bust out with some more technique with the brush pens, I suggest them. I should probably actually order some more off of Jet. Is Jet Pens? I think it's Jet Pens website where I got a bunch of pens and then I got the ink refills. I have no idea where they're coming from. Like they have kanji on the label itself, so I don't know if they're shipping from somewhere in the States or not, but probably be a good idea if you want some some Pentel brush pens to go ahead and order them now, before any sort of embargoes or anything like that. But I mean, as you can see, like I'm just filling in a lot of area, trying to get more of like the mossy look and color that we have going, for him, and he's looking really good, quite honestly. Like, um, I'm really really happy with the piece itself. It ends up working really well. Throwing some highlights on there, the the white gel pen. It feels funny saying like I stole the idea from Ken Lashley, but you know, there you there you go. This is also my first finished piece for 2025, so I really really hope you guys enjoy it. Um, I enjoyed drawing it, doing something completely start to finish, no prelims, like no safety net, with this, no light boxing, anything like that. It was a lot of fun, especially drawing one of my favorite characters. Thanks, guys.